أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Welcome again, our lovely viewers, to today's episode of Arbaeen Lecture. And today's edition is the Women Edition. As you can see, I'm in the studio of Shia Muslim Community with my lovely and adorable sisters. We are going to talk about the impact of women on the land of Karbala at Ashura. What were the impact of these ladies? Because we understand, yes, Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam took along the family and his siblings and companion to the land of Karbala. So we as women are going to dwell deeper into the impact of women on that day. And before we commence and today is not really going to be a lecture, sorry, it's going to be a panel discussion with my lovely sisters. Before we begin, let's give thanks to the omnipotent, omnipresent, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then the best creation ever, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and to his infallible imams, his household, alayhi salatu wa salam. I humbly welcome my lovely viewers, or my lovely, sisters, to, the panel discussion of Ramadan lecture. Welcome. Sister from my immediate right is Sister Fatima Alhassan, and then my far right is Sister Fatima Zakiya. How lovely. Yes, I'm all with Fatima because I want blessing. You should understand me. Welcome again, sisters.
Thank you.
So, alhamdulillah, as you heard me with our viewers, today is going to be a panel discussion. I call it the Women Edition. We also have to, talk about women. What was the impact of women on that day? On that, a day that is not supposed to be remembered because it's a day of agony, a day that a greatest calamity before the Prophet ﷺ and his family. But for the sake of love and for the sake of tradition of Muhammad ﷺ, is forever in our hearts. And as such, we would recommend that every blessed year, inshallah. So we want to talk about the women of Karbala. I wouldn't know where to start, as I've already stated as a panel discussion. So what really would come to our mind? Let me take Fatima Alhassan first. When we talk about women of Karbala or the impact of women on Karbala.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum Hussein, wa ala ali ibn Hussein, wa ala awlad Hussein, wa ala ashab Hussein. When we talk of women in Karbala, or women concerning Ashura, we first talk of Salama. She was the closest companion of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. After the death of Sayyidah Khadija salamullah alayha, among all the women our Prophet married to, she was the closest to him because she has all the secret hadiths concerning Ahlul Bayt alayhi salatu wassalam. And she stood as a mother and a grandmother after the deaths and before the deaths of Rasulullah alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Salma took care of the school, or let me say madrasat, the school Nana Khadija left behind, because she rightly took after the steps of Nana Khadija. Because someone may ask, why is she close to the Prophet? She was close because she took the steps of Nana Khadija. Wow. So anything concerning Ahlul Bayt, she knows it. There are some of the hadiths, she was the one having it. So when it was time of Karbala, or even before Karbala, there was this Ruwaya Jibra'il brought a turuba, soil from Karbala, He brought it to the Prophet and Prophet kept it in a bottle, that the day that soil or turba will turn into blood, that will be the day Imam Hussein will be killed in a land called Karbala. So it was Salma, because she is secretive and she took the role of Khadija, she was the only one who will be able to keep that promise of Rasul.
MashaAllah. So she was ordained from Allah.
She was ordained from Allah, because even this riwayah, even if you hate Allah, no matter how you hate Allah, let's say Allah, you don't believe in Allah, you will never pass by this hadith, you bring it out.
Meaning everybody knows it. MashaAllah. It's very, very common in every
sector.
MashaAllah.
So she took this blood and keep it as a promise, and she took care of Ahlul Bayt. She brought out all the hadiths concerning Ahlul Bayt. Due to some hatred of Ahlul Bayt, it got to extent that they were even denying her that privilege of bringing those hadiths out. But she stood firmly and wrote about Ahlul Bayt. You and I
we are. Truly, what you call it, Salma has a great impact on Karbala. I would say she was even the initial narrator of Karbala.
Because she didn't go to Karbala.
Yes.
But her soul
was revealed to her.
Yeah, it was revealed to her.
It manifested. Because I remember you said when it was revealed to her, it happened on the 10th of Ashura. When I don't want to float here, I had to be very strong. When Imam Hussein was finally on the ground, she shouted, I remember they said. And she said, yes, what the Prophet told her has manifested, because his beloved grandson is gone. His martyred.
So she came out and gave out the message. Today is 10th Ashura. So she went back to see what was given to her, and truly
there was a blood.
So when we look at the women in the history of Karbala, in as much as the men were the martyrs, the ones that went to the field to fight, the women played a crucial role of telling us the history. We were not there. So if not for the women, we wouldn't have known what have actually happened there. And looking at Salma, due to her piety and her love for the Prophet and his children and grandchildren, the revelation of the ayah concerning the Ahlul Bayt was done in her house, where the clock was.
Exactly.
Yes,
a very important point here.
Yes, was done in her house, and even she wanted to join the clock, but the Prophet had to tell her to step back due to some reason. So there is a particular reason why it was revealed in her house.
I think the reason should be when she took after Khadija, as far Sister Fatima here said. It was clearly Sister Zakiya is explaining to us. So that is how close she was with the Prophet. MashaAllah, MashaAllah. So Sister Zakiya, what name again would you bring it on board relating to the women of Karbala?
Okay, looking at the women of Karbala, I will bring Wahab, a Christian who was traveling with her newlywed son with his wife, and saw the caravan of Imam Hussein and got to know about the tragedy they are going to face. She encouraged her son to be part of the soldiers of Imam Hussein.
Son,
yes. Even though she is a Christian, but she understood the Prophet and his message.
That is the amazing the amazing story of Ashura relating to Imam Hussein. It isn't for only us Muslims. Even the Christians have an impact on the land of Karbala, and it's still manifesting till today. Exactly. You can proceed.
Okay, and the fact that she was able to encourage her son, in as much as they share different religion, is something we people of today should learn from. That when we see someone suffering from injustice, we shouldn't say because the person doesn't belong to our fraternity, we should let the person suffer alone. The fact that we are humans means that we should support that person in whatever tribulations they find themselves in.
Exactly. I could also add with this story, you just brought it to my mind, the in to Wahab, the newly wedded son.
Okay.
It was so difficult for her to deliver him. So she was going through a lot of, pain, and then she couldn't deliver him. So it was Imam Hussein who prayed, and he diagnosed her of whatever it is through their powerness, through their divine power. And she had a successfully son. And today, alhamdulillah, the son is on the land of Karbala. That is manifestation, helping his son, Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam. It's a very important point.
Even when the son was killed and they cut off his head, they brought it back to them. And the mother took the head back to them, that what they give to Allah, they don't take it back.
MashaAllah.
That's very courageous.
So the
Not
mother
everybody
took it back
do
to
that.
Shimul and Umar Busar.
Exactly.
She took it back
We're
to
talking
them.
about a Christian woman here.
Yes,
She
yes,
wasn't a Muslim,
yes,
a Christian
yes.
woman.
Yes.
So how come we, the Muslim, are denying this truth? That is the question. So let's talk about Bani, one important icon when we want to talk about Karbala, the mother of Abbas.
Yes.
You know, I read about her and I get emotional, and it's so amazing. You know, the story of Bani was Fatima Alhassan herself told Imam Ali that, because after the incident of Fadak, we are not going to go there, right? Exactly. At the time when it's due, we definitely will come into the studio for that. So when she knew that a time is already due to depart from the world, she promised Imam Ali that she has chosen Bani for him, because she knew her very well and she knew the kind of lady she is. So eventually Imam Ali, and then she made a statement. I'm so happy I have not forgotten about the statement. She said, because she will give birth to my left eye. So who are we talking about, the left eye? Bani is the mother of Abu Fadl and Abbas. And truly she came and she gave birth to Abbas. And since the childhood of Abbas, the kind of nature Bani gave Abbas was, Imam Hussein is your master. Never relate to him like your brother, but he is your master, because you need to guide him wherever he is. And we all know the impact of Abbas on the land of Karbala. And according to Riwayat, Abbas never called his brother my brother. They were from the same father, but he never called him brother. The only time he called him brother was when the Kafir, I'll call them because they don't deserve to be Muslim, came in their uncountable numbers on only one soul, Abbas, to kill him. That was the only place he shouted, Ya Ahi. And that was truly emotional. So we see the impact of Bani here, a very important icon. Even when they came back from Karbala, she still was so happy. Instead of us to be very moody because we've lost a son, we know what really happened. She was pleased to have given Abbas to Imam Hussein.
Not only Abbas, with her 4 children.
Absolutely, the others 4 children.
And we can see that there's a lesson here that she has taught us, that as women, we should be mothers that raise our sons to be soldiers. I think I said it earlier. Like soldiers to stand for injustice. When we see that there is injustice somewhere, we should fight, even if it's at the expense of our lives.
Absolutely.
We shouldn't always say, okay, this doesn't concern me. Like Abbas, for instance, that is his stepbrother.
Yes.
And they're not even biological, they don't share the same mother. Yes.
The mother, how she...
Yes. But we know now... Yes, but then we know now in our household where we have step-siblings relationship, that kind of enmity is there. And if his stepbrother should be in that kind of situation, he'll tell him, deal with your own problem.
In our contemporary world, I think it's going to be a joy to others, because we don't want to learn the right way from the Ahlul Bayt.
Exactly.
If we could learn from the Ahlul Bayt, I think our stepbrothers will be our lovely, brothers. So we pray, inshallah, Allah give us this impact to be a practice in our life. Sister Fatima, one name again comes to your mind when we talk about the women of Karbala?
Talk of Sayyidah Layla.
Good.
Sayyidah Layla was the wife of Imam Hussein, the mother of Imam Ali Zain al-Abidin and Aliyu Akbar, who was in Karbala. So, and let me come in here, when in our community today, well, let's talk about women. When you are to get married to a man, you need to know the kind of work he's doing.
Absolutely.
As to whether it will suit your personality before you go in for him.
Very important.
Yes. So as far as they know the kind of person Imam is,
yeah,
and she accepted to marry Imam, they went to Karbala. She gave us her children to defend Imam. We today, as I'm sitting, I always say, you are giving my children to be killed, whatever.
Absolutely.
But
You wouldn't even let your children follow you.
Yes.
They wouldn't.
But she stood firmly.
Exactly.
And they killed their children before her, and she never discouraged Imam Hussein.
MashaAllah.
She was rather giving go ahead to defend the religion of the Prophet.
Because,
Our women that went to Karbala didn't go for women alone.
Absolutely.
It's for the whole universe.
Absolutely.
As Rasulullah brought the message, Rahmatul lil Alameen.
Exactly.
So their message is to the whole world. It's for the universe. We are to relate the way they did.
Absolutely.
You know, we are different when we talk of Ahlul, but they are exceptional.
Absolutely.
But they are as a role model for us.
Absolutely. Just as we said, we cannot do same to them. We can't.
We
But as you
follow their
said,
steps
absolutely.
to correct ours.
Just to get a better every day, because we are followable.
Yes.
We befall every blessed moment. But as you just said, by following their footsteps, we become better
Because
people.
every mother hearing the cry of a baby is a big problem to us. How much more
children?
taste, hunger, touching them, and blood is not easy. But it's never discouraged any of the women that went to Karbala.
Absolutely.
So it's a very big lesson. It's a very big role for us to play, for us to learn from.
MashaAllah.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
And same way to Sayyidah Ruba. She was also the wife of Imam Hussein, and the son was Aliyu Asghar. 6-month-old baby that was killed before the father and the mother. It wasn't easy, but they controlled themselves. And then all this tragedy.
About Rabah, it's a bit emotional.
Very
You know,
emotional.
6-month-old baby, when she couldn't even breastfeed him no more. According to Waya, he said it came to a time her breast was feeding with blood.
Due to
And
hunger
exactly
and
due
taste
to hunger. And this 6-month-old baby, what sin has it caused? So what she could do is to just give him to Imam Hussein to plead to them, maybe if they are adults. Exactly, they are adults. What about this innocent soul? They could have forgiven him to just give him water alone. But rather that evil curse, Armala, struck him
with the 3 arrows.
Subhanallah.
But then she was courageous.
She is.
In as much as she gave her baby out, the fact that she was able to withstand that and be a strong woman is
absolutely
something.
She is.
Yeah.
I could also talk about Ramla, the wife of Imam Hassan, alayhi salatu wasalam. You know, her story was, according to Ruwayat, her son Qasim was just a photocopy of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So, in as much as he's a nephew to Imam Hussein cherished him a lot. He never would be, a day will not go by without saying Qasim. So you could understand the connection. So when, from home, she already called Qasim, and according to Wyatt, Qasim is about 14 years old. You know, she told him about the letter his daddy gave it to her and to be open on the day of Karbala. And she did same, and this boy was overjoyed. Could you believe this?
That's amazing.
he was overjoyed doing this for his uncle, doing this for his father. Then she has to handle the letter to Imam Hussein. When she went and she verbally stated to Imam Hussein she wanted to also bring Qasim to fight for Islam. Imam Hussein was like, when you give out Qasim, who am I going to look to remember my grandfather again? Then I beg you, Qasim is too young to go on this battlefield. Then Ramla begins to cry. If other women has given her children, what would I also sacrifice for Islam? How would I look at your mother, Fatima Zahra, on the day of judgment? So she handed the letter to Imam Hussein. He opened, and that's it. He couldn't say no. You know, according to Ruwayat, he was so young that even the dress to fight on Qasim was not even fitting him. Just like the children of Zainab who will come to her.
Yes.
It wasn't even fitting them because they were too young. That is how compassionate the situation is. And these women stood firm, advised their children, gave them the courage, gave them the encouragement to go on the field to fight for Islam. That's how important and that is how courageous these women were. For us to have this Islam very simple to practice today, if it wasn't for these women.
For us, no.
So eventually, as the story goes, he went to fight. You know, and the thing is, when I read about them, it's like, you know, when they come one after the other, because of the natural blessing from Allah relating to the Ahlul Bayt, you lie bad. When you're coming one after the other, if even you are lining up for about 1,000 of soldiers, I guess even a baby from the Ahlul Bayt will kill you. But eventually when they realize that the boys keep killing them when they come one after the other, they have to change a different measure, and that way they get them to kill them. But Alhamdulillah, they stood for Islam.
Yeah.
So that was the sacrifice of Rabab, the wife of Imam Hassan, on the land of Karbala. So Sister Zakiya, could you give us another one? I think we've talked enough.
I think we can talk about the children of Imam, the daughters of Imam Hussein,
Absolutely,
Sakina
absolutely.
and Ruqayya. What they witnessed about happening to their father is something that every child shouldn't be subjected to. It's something cruel that can affect them even psychologically. But their strength, as I said, all these women showcase a strength that it's incomprehensible for even us to do now, and it's something we should learn from them.
Yeah, exactly. You talked about their children. Ruqayya, I just remembered, Sister Fatima just corrected me. I was thinking Ruqayya was 7 years or 8 years. Before starting the program, she corrected me. Ruqayya was 3 years.
Yeah.
And the story of Ruqayya when they got to Sham is something I don't want to narrate. I was thinking she was 7 years. I remember my last lecture when I flew tears because I asked myself, how could 7 years go through this? But we're talking about 3 years.
She's just a toddler. Just so small.
And then people would just be like, yeah, Yazid has done it, so Allah would forgive him. For taking, befalling a calamity on such pure family, the family of the prophets. How much more a 3-year-old daughter? I remember when they went to Sham, she kept shouting, she kept crying, she wanted to see her father. She wanted to see her father. And the heartless, cursed animal, I call Yazid. Yes, Allah was like, who was shouting? And the soldiers would say, it's one of the daughters of Imam Hussein. Okay, take your father's head to her in a very disgust way. You look at you, an animal. So, you know, it's like they took the head to Ruqayya. It's like I want to bring my mind back to she's just 3 years. I was thinking she's even 7. So imagine at 3 years wanted to see her father, and the head of the father will be brought to her. No, come on. We need to think deeper and analyze things and imagine. And imagine what happened. Let's just get to in the world of imagination. That wasn't even the worst case. According to Raya, she just shouted when she saw the daddy. According to whatever happened between herself and the daddy, only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows. So she passed on. So immediately she was given to some women in the palace of Yazid to be bathed so that she would be buried. And another, what you call it, I call it a catastrophe. I do call it because one of the women were like, what happened to this girl? She's too young to have these bruises on her body.
God says that she even blindfolded her eyes. She doesn't want to see anything because of the father's.
Allah. I don't know. So just to end about Rukaya, Auntie Zainab would come and just tell the lady that it was what they went through when they were coming. They were chained with metals, they were beaten.
Look at the
You know, exactly, a journey of a month from Karbala to Sham, our present day Syria. At least even if it's with a flight, you take hours.
Yeah.
How much more during those times when there was no flights?
Considering the scorching sun.
Scorching sun.
Considering her age,
Barefooted.
Yeah.
3 years old.
No.
I think it's enough. I don't want to go deeper. Hi. They did their best. We're just praying to also imitate them. So
In as much as we are getting emotional, I think we should be able to tell the story.
definitely we
Because
have
those
to.
who experienced it were
Absolutely,
able to
they were
tell.
stronger.
Yeah, they were
That
stronger.
is the
It's
amazing
a
thing. We are even just giving the story and we are even getting
It
down.
was right
Yeah.
before them.
It was. One impact we will talk about is Kusum. Sister Zakiya, can you tell us a little bit about Kusum, the sister of Zainab?
Okay, Kulthum was more like a personal assistant to Sayyidah Zainab. She was part of Sayyidah Zainab to protect their wife and children when the soldiers of Yazid were trying to prep them in prison. And her character has been one that shows us to be protective
Absolutely.
of our loved ones. We shouldn't allow any hurt before them, and if we have to protect them with our lives, then we should do that. Exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah, Kusum, the sister of Zainab. She also played a role. Now I think we've done best by, let's come to the climax herself. I call it that way. You know, when we're going to talk about, let me give an instance about Ghana. When we want to talk about Ghana, there's no way we'll talk about Ghana without Kwame Nkrumah, isn't it?
Yeah.
But then we knew some helped Kwame Nkrumah to gain the independence. We've talked about them.
Yeah.
But we can't say Ghana without Kwame Nkrumah.
Yeah.
So there's no Karbala without
Without
Zainab.
Zainab.
MashaAllah. So who is Zainab? Let me go to Sister Fatima Alhassan.
Zainab was the sister of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, the daughter of Nana Fatima salam alayha. She stood as a mother, a sister, and a friend to Imam Hussein and Ahlul Bayt and their followers in Karbala. She was the one that anything concerning children, women, you will not cross her. You have to come to her aid. And she was ever ready to stand for all of them. So Zainab played a major role that every mother and a wife and a sister should play in Karbala.
Okay, that's
And even before,
Okay.
after Karbala,
Yeah.
she was the only woman who stood before Yazid and faced him and told him her mind. And she has a case too that defended Imam Hussein. They were ready to go and assist their uncle, and she gave them out. If that is what pleased Allah, she's ever ready to give them to Imam Hussein. And truly they went and they never came back.
MashaAllah. Sister Zakiya, what would you add about Zainab before we come here?
I admire her bravery. fact that she stood before the tyrant Yazid and expressed his immoral acts and his tyranny. She condemned him and refused to even pay allegiance to him.
Absolutely.
And when he was boasting about what he has been able to do to her family, all she said is she sees nothing but beauty.
Mashallah.
That alone
That's
is something that has
Exactly.
shaken
Absolutely.
Yazid, and she's just that brave and courageous woman that even the men there were scared of her from her speech. And it's actually
I
a good
remember,
character.
I am sorry for interjection.
Mm.
One man was like from afar, is Imam Ali here?
No.
Because of the eloquency.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So to add up to Zainab, when we carefully, what do you call it, analyze Zainab on Karbala, I see the reflection of her mother, Fatima Alhassan. You know, it's really funny here that Zainab departed from her mother at the age of 5, 6.
Yeah.
That was when her mother departed from her. Alayhi salatu wassalam, Fatima Zahra. Right. But what I saw here was nurturing. The nurture she took from her mother, she impacted it on the land of Karbala. You know, in our contemporary world today, 6 years, we see 6 years to be insensitive.
Yeah.
So why should I focus on the 6 years? Because it's not good. But I told you this, according to Fatima and Zainab, seeing them or reading about them, I think that's a crucial age to start nurturing a child.
Yes.
And she did same. Zainab saw all what happened during Fadak. She saw the injustice on her mother. She saw how her mother stood firm. You know, a lot of people, even our sheikh, even our own sheikh, would say Fatima went out because her inheritance was collected from her. No, it's a big mistake. That was her gift from her father. Even with that, it wasn't because of the gifts. Just let me get into it, and we would understand the impact of Zainab. It wasn't it wasn't because of the gifts. She wanted the land because it's hers for the women of Ansar, the women who lost their husbands during the battles of Islam. So she wanted that fertile land for them, not for her own self. What do they want? Already her daddy has promised her, you're going to be the next person after me. Exactly. So why would she need any materialistic thing in her life? Let's be real for a sake. Let's give them the justice for sake. You getting it?
Yeah.
So she saw all this. She stood firm. And Fatima on the day of Fadak wasn't, as I said, mad because of her gift, but she was mad of the companion because of what they were changing the verses of the Quran.
No.
For them to say that the daughter of a prophet doesn't inherit him. But then, what do you call it, Prophet Sulaiman inherited his father. He even inherited his father when the father was even alive. He inherited Dawood when Dawood was alive until Dawood passed on and he took over the wealth of Dawood. So what is the difference between Dawood and my father? For you to say the gift given to me was not even mine. So Zainab saw all this thing and she stood firm and then applied it on the land of Karbala. You've already said how she protected the women and the children because there was nobody. So she has to be firm. She has to be Imam Hussein at that moment for his family. And you know one sensitive thing about Zainab?
By taking orders from Imam Ali Zainab did.
Absolutely. One peculiar thing that happened was, you know, after they've already killed everybody, another cursed animal, Busad, right? The commander of army of Yazid. Busad, thank you very much. He came to the tent and he saw Imam Zain al-Abidin very weak. Even with his weakness at that moment, the Ruwaya said he even wanted to step out. And the father said, no. The infallibility or the divinity of Allah shouldn't cut off on you. You are my nurse, so you need to. There is a purpose why you are sick today. Because I know you could have fought.
Yeah.
So when he came to meeting him, he then asked the soldiers, come and see, there is one, man here with us. We will kill him because we need to finish everybody here. And you know what Zainab said? As Sandy said, she said she's what? Al-ammu al-ilmu gaira mu'allima. Alimun gaira mu'allima. She is a teacher without being taught. That is how Zain al-Abidin praised her. So when she saw that the commander of army of Yazid was going to him, then she told him that, I never knew you are such a coward going to fight with a sick person.
Yes.
Psychologically, she's went with his brain.
Yes.
So he has to also feel, no, I'm not a coward. I can never be a coward. Let me just leave him. He's a sick person on the way he wouldn't even die.
Exactly.
But that is the rahmah of Allah. That is the the manifestation of Allah on this earth. There will definitely be a way to pass through successfully. So with Zainab, if we really want to talk about Zainab, Zainab is just amazing. Zainab is the manifestation of Ashura. That is my statement.
Yeah.
Because without Zainab, we couldn't have known what really happened. Exactly, because at the moment, according to Wayat, the rest of the women were even weaker, not to even realize the kind of states they were at that moment. But Zainab, not even for a moment, she was weak.
Yes.
And one last thing I'll talk about Zainab before we go to the impact of them in our contemporary world was when they came back to Medina, Zainab went straight into her room, thanking Allah for giving her children. As you said, even when the children were going to the field, they were so tiny, the garments for fighting was not even fitting them. So the uncle has to do some adjustments with Abbas, the other uncle, just to fit them to go on the field for protection. So when she came back from Karbala, she just went straight into her room. And the husband just came in, the son of Jafar, the brother of Ali, right, Abdullah. And you know the statement? It's really very sad. He was like, please woman, who are you? I am waiting for my wife Zainab to come. Please, how did you get into her room? Could you imagine this? He couldn't even recognize his wife. Allah. He couldn't. So she has to turn and tell him that, you know you can't even recognize me. I'm your Zainab. And according to Wayat, he fainted. He immediately fainted to see his wife. That is his imagination. What really went through for her to be in this state? That my beloved wife, I couldn't even remember her. You know, there's this psychology will say when you become spouses, there is this sense that you share. If even you don't know, if even you can't see your spouse, with that sense, you will know it as.
Yes.
But even with that, Abdullah couldn't. That is deep. That is really deep. So we can imagine what they stood for Islam. So what is it for you and me to do? So now let's come to our last statement. We've talked about the women of Karbala, and I know my viewers are taking lesson as we are doing same, because they did a great job for Islam, especially Zainab. I call her the manifestation of Ashura. Without Zainab, we couldn't have known what happened. For me to be very emotional, eventually my emotion rekindle myself to Allah. That is the amazing, aspect of Ashura. We get emotion and rekindle ourselves to Allah. We get nearer to Allah when we are in a bad mood. Now, what lesson do we take from these adorable and blessed ladies of Ashura? Let me take Sister Zakiya first. What lesson do you, in any way, relating to our contemporary world, what would you advise us to be, because we've learned from them?
Okay, I can see encouragement and support for the men to fight against the tyrants. Like all the women, the mothers we've mentioned, and all the women that were on the land of Karbala, we could see that they all encourage their sons to go and fight, even though their sons, some are as young,
exactly, very
but
young.
they were able to encourage them. So in this contemporary world, we are also supposed to encourage our children or our sons to also support or fight against injustice. And I can say another point that in as much that we support them to fight against injustice, we should be able to raise our children to be leaders.
Absolutely.
We can see from Sayyidah Fatima Zahra, she raised Imam Hussein to be a leader, that he never wanted to pay allegiance to Yazid, no matter what, even if it was at the expense of him and his family, he still refused to do that. So that is an attribute of a leader that we should
instill in our children to make the world a better place for us.
Mashallah. So Fatima,
I think she has said it all, but in our community today, I want to drag our mind to something in Islam. Let's take Islam because we are all Muslims.
absolutely.
When you are a child, you got up to see your parents. They are Muslims, and you are also a Muslim automatically because they are Muslims.
Yeah.
You don't stay there. Islam is not for us. It's a religion.
Absolutely.
It's for the prophets. It's for Allah and His Prophet.
Mashallah.
So you get to know what Islam is about.
Mashallah.
You just don't say I'm a Muslim. That's all.
Yeah.
So our parents or our mothers are always with us more than our fathers. So they are to enhance us to learn more about the religion. Because if you get to know what your religion is about, you don't go against it.
Mashallah.
You don't go against it.
Mashallah.
So you learn. We should encourage the children.
I think you're focusing on nurturing.
Nurturing the children is very, very important. Because let me bring this example here. I came here with a lady with me here. She's right with me here. Let's say we are a family concerning Islam. And then this lady visited me during Ashura. A brother was getting married. And the brother works here in Accra. I met him because he's a Muslim. We became a family and we are staying together and that. So she came to the wedding. And when she came, she was staying with us. The moment I just saw her, I just like her. Me, that's how I am. So she.
I think that's Islam.
Yeah, she spent like 2 weeks with us, and the 2 weeks she spent, she prayed with us. She doesn't know I'm a Shia, I'm a Tijani, I'm a whatever. No, she was just following them. But she realized that the way we are praying is far different than how they pray way back at home.
Mashallah.
So there was there I joined them. They were praying in the room when I came. She's right here listening to me. When I came to the room and then they prayed first rakah. I think it was Isha. So I joined them. So when they feel that when I came they were praying, I was standing there. What is that? I said, no, you are on sujood for the first rakah. How do I join you? She said, but they don't pray like that. So I explained to her. She just started weeping.
Mashallah.
I used to watch this movie, Mukhtar Sakafi, and she'll come and stand by me. So she said, so our parents didn't know all this or what?
Oh, so sad.
This girl started asking questions. So today, she sees herself like, she loved Nana Fatima more than even me.
No, of course. Fatima is already with her.
So, and
she just discovered herself to be Fatimiyya.
Yes.
But she is already.
Yes.
She
And
is.
she's very religious when it comes to her dressing, her prayers.
Absolutely.
But she doesn't know anything about Quran or Hadith, nothing.
Yeah.
About the Prophet. Now she knows he's our Prophet. She knows Sam Fati, who is the Fati. She doesn't even know who the daughter is,
Absolutely.
the father is.
Absolutely.
So we have to.
You're really
Yes.
doing a great job. I
Yes.
can
So-
testify that.
So when she went back, she couldn't stay. She has
to
she's
come
working.
back to you.
But she has come back to
This
me.
is amazing.
And when I was coming today, she said she would follow me.
Of course, this is the work of Zainab. Just speak up. Just speak up. Allah continue
So,
blessing you.
We need
Okay.
to bless the children.
Nurture.
And those watching us, if you think your parent doesn't know enough, what are you waiting for?
We need to ask.
طلب العلم فريضة على كل Muslim. So it's a must on you to seek for it.
Absolutely.
Just don't sit down, then I will come and tell you.
Allah continue guiding us. Yeah, so let's talk about patience.
Yes.
There's one important thing I know I saw in Zainab on the land of Karbala. But before that, continue doing a good job. Your reward is with Allah. I'm so amazing to hear this story. You know, Zainab was so much, the patience he had while she had sorry manifested her courage.
Yes.
Because at that very moment, if it's not because of her patience, I think she could have been killed. She could have been killed.
Yeah.
But she needs to have that patience to protect the rest of the family. Since then, I'll call her, she was then the man at that moment. So patience is very important. No matter your circumstances, no matter your condition, situation, we find ourselves, we need to endure patience. And we believe there is no patience without victory. That is the saying of Allah. And as Shia specifically, let me be what do you call it? Let me give this example to us, especially women. We need to have patience because we hear and we see what people talk about Shia, but we know we have Nana Fatima. What else do we want from anybody? It's like having a gold and somebody wants to angrily give you bronze. Like, really? What would you use that for? We know what we want when we imitate, because we've gotten it all to have Fatih, to have Zainab.
Yeah.
We've gotten it all. So we need to endure whatever situation. And one thing I saw, I would learn and reflect it in our contemporary world is humanity. You gave us the story of Wahab, right?
Yes.
Wahab, you gave it to us to Wahab. He was a Christian, but he fought for Imam Hussein. So you see humanity, and it's really manifesting up to date.
Yeah.
Arbaeen is just behind the corner, about a week or 10 days to Arbaeen. If Allah make us the will to go, or we watch what happened on Karbala, you'll be amazed the Christians you see there.
Yeah.
You ask yourself, why Christians? This is about Islam. But Imam Hussein stood for humanity. That is why personalities like Gandhi, like Magandhi, like George Gibson, a lot, these are the names. They could say something about Imam Hussein because he stood for humanity. Just like what the Prophet said, you are what? A brother to Islam, and then in terms of humanity, you are a brother to your other brother again. So we don't have to say, but anyway, I wanted to say, even calling a Christian kafir is even out of order in Islam, from the Quran. How much more we, even the Shias, we've been also called kafir. So why would I even talk about a Christian when myself I'm even, what you call it, exactly kafir to them? That is how, I don't want to use any foul word, forgive me, but I don't know how other think, seriously. So, alhamdulillah.
But then, talking about patience, for instance, we can talk about it in this contemporary world in the form that Allah tests us. And when we are faced with certain tribulations, we shouldn't be angry and say God doesn't exist or God doesn't love us.
Absolutely.
Like, let's take the issue of Imam Zainul Abidin. He was sick at that time. Even though he wanted to help his dad, he wanted to but Allah placed him in a position that would not allow him, so that the progeny of the Prophet would get to live on. So that patience, he would have been angry or say God doesn't want him to protect his dad, but he still...
We do that a lot.
Yeah.
It is a very important point. Allah do forgive us and continue guiding us with your blessing. Actually, Fatima, I want you to emphasize on us about modesty, and I think we can wrap up from there. Zakiya, also add up to modesty relating to women, reflecting on the day of Karbala. Let me just open the way talking about modesty when we reflect. You remember when they got to Kufa, right? Zainab was like, when she went to them, when she was in the palace of Yazid, you remember in her sermon, there was a statement she did. She said, you know who we are, the family of the Prophet. Nobody sees our face. But because of your dubious activity, you made us open to everybody like that. People see us to be like rebels. So here she was emphasizing on modesty. Even according to Riot, when they were even living with the chain and operation on the way the beatings, she still will cover up the kids and the women when it's important too. Just because their appearance is very important, no matter the situation we find ourselves. Especially with the career women.
Yeah.
We working in other firms, especially non-Islamic firm, sometimes it's very uncomfortable due to the way we appear. But you need to know who you are and why you have to appear this way. Not because of the worldly whatever.
Yes.
Fatima, I want you to add emphasize on that for us.
Yes, that's my policy.
Absolutely.
Because myself here, I used to work with Ghana prisons, and I realized that the kind of dressing doesn't suit my religion. I have to stop it and then get to what will help me do my religion, because now it is they'll say this one is just a lady, or it's not an Islamic country, so
Absolutely.
you can just do and suit to the scholars or whatever. No, you should know yourself.
Absolutely.
When you say it's not an Islamic country, Quran is for everyone.
Absolutely.
And anywhere you go, Quran is there.
Absolutely.
And it's not the word of Haman.
no.
So do you mean you disobey Allah to please Haman?
No.
So all is, we should know our religion
Absolutely.
and go by it.
Very
Even
important.
from the infancy,
Very
our
important.
kids, they say she's just a baby, just living. No, you start with her,
Yeah.
so that she grow up with it.
Exactly. It becomes part of
It's
her.
part of her.
Very important, very, very important, especially the females. Zakiya, what would you add in terms of modesty so we could wrap up?
Okay, in terms of modesty, I can say that, you see, even though the men were killed and people were being killed in the battlefield, when we compare it to our time now, when we hear of death, some get, I don't know if it is psychological, they try to start taking off their clothes
Absolutely.
and wailing and crying and acting in that way. But even though they were faced with that same issue, they still didn't see the need to take off anything to express their pain. Yes, all they did was to weep.
Absolutely.
And that is a modest way to express your pain.
No matter the situation, you need to consider your appearance very important. So let me just wrap up with knowledge.
Okay.
Very important, because according to the Ruwayat, Zainab was the first person to start Majlis after Karbala.
Okay.
So this is to tell us that as women, we don't have to expect men to sit every day and tell us about our history and tell us about what we need to know, especially when it comes to Fatima. I envy a man to sit and talk about Fatima because it's ours. You getting it? And it's in terms of searching for knowledge, I would know Fatima more and know what is my pride and my priority, I call it. You getting it? So knowledge is very important relating to us. And we don't have to say we have to go concentrate the secular marriage or the Islamic marriage. It has to be all. The very fact that it will be helpful, especially women, because the first institution of a child is a mother.
No.
So why would you give an excuse the man has to search for knowledge? So knowledge is so important. My producer is just giving me a sign. We just have some few minutes to wrap up.
Okay.
So thank you so much, Sister Fatima Alhassan, for really giving us a lot about women. We thank you so much, Sister Zakiya. Sister Fatima Zakiya, let me give the full name. Thank you so much. At least your name reflected the discussion and it's really worth priceless. Thanks so much. May Allah continue blessing us.
Yeah,
My viewers, we've come to another end of, I call it the women edition of Arbaeen. And you heard us. We've learned a lot from each other. My only words is Allah continue guiding us to imitate Fatima and Zainab, because Fatima, she's our role model no matter what. So I said, Assalamu ala Hussein, wa ala Ali ibn Hussein, wa ala awlad Hussein, wa ala ashab Hussein. Let's stay blessed. Jummah Mubarak to everybody. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah ta'ala wa barakatuh.